Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. All right, this is one of those episodes that a few people are going to suspect seeing on this channel. But after talking about buck knives for a while, maybe I thought, why not break out all of my USA-made trappers? And for some people, that's going to be kind of a shock, considering I am a founding member of the ABAT, or the Anything But a Trapper Club. I'm not crazy about trapper knives. Really, what I'm not crazy about is the way trapper knives are pushed upon the traditional world, as if these knives were the greatest knives ever made, or that these knives were the knives that made the West and everything else. It's a fine pattern. I understand the reasoning behind why they are used, especially when it comes to commemoratives, things of that nature. But it is not a pattern I normally collect. You might be saying, wait a minute, you've got 6 USA-made trappers and you're saying this is not a pattern you normally collect. Yes, I have 6 USA-made trappers out of a possible over 1,000 knives in the collection. So if you were to do some quick math, you would really quickly realize that these trappers, these 6 USA-made trappers, makes up well less than 1% of my overall collection. When you compare it to the number of USA-made toothpick knives I have, their number would be, well, at least 10 times more. I easily have over 60 USA-made toothpicks and fish knives. When you compare it to camp knives, especially if you include it to camp knives and hobo knives from the USA, the number is going to be probably 20 times higher than what you see in trappers. If you were to compare it to Swiss Army knives, my Swiss Army knife collection is easily quadruple what you're seeing here with the trappers. And also, if you look closely at these trappers, you will also notice one other thing. Only one of these 6 USA-made trappers is a standard trapper, the 4 1/8 inch trapper with a clip blade and a spay blade. And with that said, let's get this show on the road and show you my 6 USA-made trappers. Now, 2 of these knives have very special places in my life, simply because they actually belong to a dear friend of mine who passed away. And the first one of these knives is this one here. And this is really questionable. If I'm sure there's quite a few trapper fans out there who would say, no, this is not a trapper. And really, when you think about it, it isn't. I believe Colonial actually sold it as an easy open jack. This knife was made by Colonial. I do not know exactly when it was made. They made it for some time. It is not a shell cover, though, if you can look there. The bolsters are, or what you see is the liners going on with the bolsters that were part of the liner, it looks like. See right there? It has been polished into it. And then you have some kind of a Delrin cover on there that is pinned to it. So still an inexpensive knife for the time. Carbon steel blades, nice little clip blade going on there. I know some people would refer to this as an easy open slimline trapper, and you could actually call it that, but I believe it was sold as an easy open jack. Remember that basically a trapper is a type of jack knife, so really an interesting knife though. As I said, this was a knife that I basically inherited from a friend who passed away. But there you have it. Colonial, Providence, Rhode Island, or Providence, USA. And pretty interesting. Obviously, I have a soft spot for it simply because of where it came from. So that's pretty cool. The next knife, we'll move over to this knife. This is the only standard trapper I have. This is a 4 1/8 inch trapper. And this one was actually given to me by a person who was downsizing his knife collection. He was moving away from his folders and just concentrating on large Bowie knives and such. And actually, I ended up trading him my Colt Alamo Bowie. Well, I didn't trade him. I gave him the Colt Alamo Bowie as a going away present many years after he had given this knife to me. Given this knife to me and several other knives, actually. This one has wonderful brown packwood handles. As you can see, this is a Remington knife. It was made by Camillus. That was one of the draws for me to go ahead and take it. He gave me first dibs on all the knives that he was giving away, and it's like I said, I normally don't grab trappers, but this one really does look nice, and because it's made by Camillus and it's a Remington, I think I'm going to grab it. And it really is well made, as you can tell there. See the brass liners. Got the wonderful clip blade here. If you can see the etch there. Remington USA. And then you have the other blade here. First in the field. Really beautiful knife. Well made. No wobble in the blade here. No wobble in this blade either. Look at the drops down there. You can see that once again, even back then, the blades do have a little, they're not quite straight down the middle or anything like that, but really just a terrific knife. And the packwood handles look really great. Very well made knife from Camillus, and a trapper that I'm proud to have in my collection. Now, as long as we just looked at one Camillus knife, let's look at another one. This one is by Camillus, and it looks very much like a standard trapper. It is the same size as a standard trapper, as you can see there, 4 1/8 inches long. It's got the clip blade, but what it doesn't have is the spay blade. And if you notice, the clip blade is in the back instead of the front. And the reason for that is this is the bartender's trapper. This was a Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive, and the blade edge there, that was designed by Brian Wilhoit. See there, Camillus, New York. So this is a later production one. I believe it was somewhere around 2005 or 2006, something like that, that this knife was actually made. And it has a secondary blade, which was used on Camillus's Camco line of bartender knives. It's a small pin blade with a bottle opener there. See there? And that's pretty cool. I saw this. I saw it online. It was going for a very low bid price, so I went ahead and put in another bid, and I won it. And it's a pretty cool knife. You've got the jig Delrin, which is what do they call this? They call this their Durastag. This was Camillus Durastag, which is their answer to the Schrade Staglon. So this was Camillus Durastag covers. You got the small bolster down there, the front bolster up here, nickel silver bolsters, very well laid out. You got brass liners there. You got a little bit of a gap there. Again, the blades aren't perfect, but they're not bad either. And I don't know. I saw it, wanted it. I do collect bartender knives, so this one kind of fit into that part of the collection. And again, it's not truly a standard trapper, even though it is built on the standard trapper frame. And so that was another selling point to me, the fact that it was the the bartender trapper. I found out after I purchased it that it was actually an SMKW exclusive, and that Brian Wilhoit had designed the blade edge. I would have bought it either way. but that's a pretty cool knife too, so I'm very happy with it. And this next knife is a case, and it's the closest thing I have to a case standard trapper. This is an 07 jackknife, commonly referred to as a mini trapper these days. Was this one called a mini trapper when it first came out? I am not 100% sure. This knife, from the tank stamp there, case XX USA, it comes from that time period, and this is a tank stamp for 1965 to 1969. As you can tell, it's got carbon steel blades going on, nickel silver bolsters, brass liners, and a nickel silver shield there. It's all very nice looking. It was damaged when I got it. This was another knife that I basically inherited from my good friend who passed away. The handle has been repaired by me. I probably shouldn't have done that, and I might someday send it off the case to have it repaired properly. But as it is, I'm not too upset with the way I have repaired it so far. The bone is still here. This up here is some epoxy, marine epoxy, holding it in place right down there. And then we have the secondary blade, which is a pin blade, not a spay blade. And the earlier mini trappers, or at least the earlier 07 jackknives, came with a clip and a pin blade. It was later that they added the spay blade to them, and for a while they came out both ways, with a pin blade or a spay blade, and slowly they got rid of the pin blade. But if we can see here, is it on there? Not on there. Man, that pin blade is like razor sharp. But there we have that, and then on the back side here, is it here that we have it? If I can get it to show. Very hard to see, but it is 6207. There we go, 6207. Between the patina and everything else, it is very hard to see the number on the knife there. But wonderful little clip blade. It has obviously been sharpened, but it was well maintained other than the broken handle here. So the bone had broken. Really good snap on these blades. Again, not perfectly centered or anything like that, but really just a well-made knife, and definitely no blade wobble going on. So this is the case mini trapper. If I were to get into collecting case knives or case trappers, it would most likely be the mini trapper instead of the standard trapper. And I'm hearing that a lot more from people too, that they just kind of prefer the mini trapper over the standard trapper. That brings us to this knife here, and this is by Great Eastern. This is the Titty-Ute Pioneer Trapper in the Beaver Tail series. So it's got this Brazilian cherry wood, I believe it was. Just a beautiful knife, though. I bought it mainly because I like the beaver tail knives. I'd love to find a beaver tail toothpick one of these days. That's going to cost me an arm and a leg, though. In any case, again, just fabulously well-made knife, and obviously not a standard trapper. This one comes in at 4.5 or 4 3/8 of an inches, and the blades, while are supposedly a clip and a spay, the clip is ever so slight. These have definite nail breaker pulls on them. That's the clip. You see that? It ever so slightly drops. Very, very thin. Really more of a proper skinning blade, really, when you get right down to it. There is a bit of a swedge going on the top there, but not much. You have the beaver tail blade edge going on. There we go, beaver tail. Wipe that off real quick. These are 1095 carbon steel blades. Very strong pull. Got a half stop going on, thankfully. but a very strong pull on this knife. Strong enough that I can picture some people saying that's not for me because it's just too heavy. Definitely like around a 9, if not a 10. And then the secondary blade, the Spay blade, the cool thing is they're really even there when you go rip it in. In any case, you got the Spay blade on the backside, and the Spay blade is one heck of a wide belly Spay blade. Look at the belly on that thing, how straight it is coming out and everything. And very little bit of a drop in that tip there. So you almost have 2 straight blades going on here. And the knife is actually reminiscent of the knife that I'm going to show next, which is by Camillus. But this is just a beautiful knife. I picked it up when I was going through my Great Eastern phase. The Great Eastern phase ended when Great Easterns became almost impossible to get on the primary market, and the secondary market basically just said, all right, we got the knife first because we bought 2 right away, and we're selling 1 so that we can get our money back from the first one. You know, so buy 2 at $200, sell 1 at $400, and make your money back and have a free knife. That's really what the secondary market was like on these, and I'm not willing to do that. So somebody else is into the world of Great Eastern is you're not competing with me, let me put it that way. But look at how flush this is at the front here. Really a well-made knife, terrific knife. Cannot fault Great Eastern for the quality of their knife at all. And well, it's a beaver tail, and I really like the beaver tail. And then finally, my last of my USA-made trapper knives. And well, this is actually called the Pioneer Trapper by Great Eastern. Now this is by Camillus, and they call it their 2-blade trapper. And unlike the Great Eastern, if you notice, it is not flush up here. But other than that, it's very much same knife and size and everything. But they have obviously done some retooling on it. You'll see that the blades are very close to what you saw on the Great Eastern, except these have a more reasonable pull on them as far as I'm concerned. These have a pull of about 5 or 6, 6 or 7 maybe. And this one is an anniversary knife for Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I saw it online, and so I grabbed it right away. You see it right there. And you also see that it is the 25th anniversary of Smoky Mountain Knife Works right there. And these were in their wildlife series also, and they had different shields that could go in there. I might, if I can find one, pick up a wildlife series knife in this pattern. I don't mind the Camillus 2-blade trapper nearly as much as I mind the again, I don't really have an issue with the knife as much as just the advertising for the knife. The advertising drives me nuts. The other blade on this one, notice this one also is that barely a clip blade. This one is really more of a drop point. There is no distinct point where it starts to drop. It's just gradual right from there. You feel it gradually moving over into a clip blade there, or into a drop. So this is more like a drop point blade. And then you have a very straight Spay blade on the backside. And again, the pull on this one is about a 5 or a 6, as opposed to a 9. This is a solid 9, if not a 10. And see how straight that clip blade is. Obviously, this is not as polished as you have in the Great Eastern, but the knife is really a well-made knife. Probably using 440 steel in this one, as opposed to 1095. And this has a Delrin handle, and it also has a lanyard hole going on there, or a lanyard tube, because it is lined. But just a really nice little knife. Well, nice little knife if you consider 4 3/8 inches closed. a little knife. In any case, there you have it. There are my 6 USA made trappers, and this is my only standard trapper in that it is 4 1/8 inches with a clip and a spay blade, and this is my only case trapper in that it is a 07 jackknife with a clip and a pin blade. Will I ever get a case standard trapper? Only if somebody gives it to me. I have bought case standard trappers, but every case standard trapper that I have bought, I have given away. And I might end up buying another case standard trapper in the near future if I can get one at a decent enough price. But again, I will just be giving it away. The only way I will ever hold on to a case standard trapper is if somebody buys it for me, and then I have some kind of an emotional attachment to it. Hope you enjoyed the show, and well, tell me what you think. Is my bias towards the case trapper personal? I would probably even say, yeah, it is. It's personal. There's no reason for me not to like the knife other than the fact that I just don't like the way it's advertised. I don't know what else to say. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you, if nothing else, enjoyed looking at some really beautiful knives, even if they are trappers. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.